three. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to a very important end of the year teaching crypto update about Voyager. I know a lot of you were asking for information. Please hit that like, the subscribe, bell notification. As always, super chats in the store are available. And we got some exclusive information on the show. So, Mr. FOMO, you're going to take it away and you're going to talk about some important information for Voyager creditors that are waiting for hopefully the next installment payments back to them as part of this long process. So go ahead and take it away as you were able to get Paul Hage to communicate with you.
Well, let's start off with the mediation process first. He kind of corrected me. As a matter of fact, he corrected my assumption that it was going to be 30 to 45 days. He said that this is a complicated matter involving hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's also widely unregulated. So it's probably something that's going to take a lot longer than what Google says the average mediation time is. And so he corrected me on that. And he said that we still could be months away from a settlement and mediation, but that he's trying to avoid going to litigation or filing a complaint in this because he does not want to spend the money in litigation, in court costs, those kinds of things. He would like to give that money back to the creditor. So I thought that was positive. But he also mentioned that FTX has filed a bankruptcy plan with bankruptcy courts and that their plan does include some of the money that's owed to Voyager, that the creditors feel they're owed and that the wind down team feels they're owed. And so they have filed it gives them the right to object to the plan. So they've filed paperwork that gives them the right to object, and they certainly plan to object based on the plan that's been filed already.
I think it's somewhat good news, obviously, that mediation is not over, because if mediation does fail, you're talking about not only a very, very costly court case, but a long one that stretches well into the end of 2024, most likely. So that's good.
And that seemed to be what he was hinting at, mentioning that this was a complicated case involving hundreds of millions. He said that the mediation would take a very long time. And he also said that would extend litigation if that were the case. So that's a lot of money to be spent in litigation.
Absolutely.
So I would agree with him that it would be paramount for them to get the job done in mediation.
Because that comes out of that pot, and that's the biggest pot left. You have the wind down money, but you have well over 400 million in FTX Almeida that's being contested. So for us to even think about this coming to an end, there has to be a resolution. And what it sounds like is we at least have a couple more months of mediation to go. And that's exclusive right here on Teach Your Crypto. No one else had. Even people that were able to speak to admin weren't able to get that from them. So great job, Mr. FOMO, for getting that.
And on top of that, you mentioned that this was the largest piece of the Voyager pie. He seems to think that the 3AC is still a doable mediation. They are at the table as one of the largest debtor or one of the largest creditors to 3AC. And so he mentioned that as well. And he seemed to mention that was ramping up, because I told him that we noticed that in the British Virgin Islands, all of the funds, both crypto and non-crypto for 3AC and their founders, were frozen worldwide, $1 billion asset freeze. And he said that's a good start, but that's different from the courts ordering them to liquidate all their assets and return them to the creditors. But because we are owed so much money, he and the wind down team do have a seat at the 3AC table. And he seemed to hint that there was a lot of hope left in that 3AC situation, and that was also months to years, probably more likely years down the road to be solved.
Yeah, my concern with this situation with 3AC, I just think it's going to take so long.
And that's
my concern.
And again, you would hope that they would be able to go to mediation in that scenario and not have to litigate. But or you'd hope that they are caught and their assets are frozen and then liquidated and given back to all the customers. But we'll see if that happens. But he gave me more hope in his email for the 3AC situation than I've had in a long time. And so him mentioning that, and then him also saying that they are one of the main seats at the table, I mean, that is, I think, a huge bit of news. And we all along thought the 3AC was a lost cause and that we'd never see that money. But he seemed to
I'm
think
still
that
skeptical.
50 million
You know,
is still on the table.
if they can recover 20 million, which is a lot, that's only 1%, and that's easier said than done. Just because they freeze the hundreds of millions of assets doesn't mean it's going to void your customers.
Well, that's what he was saying. He's saying this isn't the same as
Yes.
taking their assets, liquidating them, and then returning them to the concerned parties.
I mean, the
And so,
3AC
yeah, we're a long way
situation,
off from that.
3AC situation has been going on for a year and a half. So I'm just skeptical. I'd love for him to be right, but I think the chances of anyone seeing 3AC money in 2024 is probably not good. You know, sadly, from your email, it seems like this wind down, we're 1 to 2 years from this ending.
Yeah, and that's literally FTX and Alameda. If you're talking about 3AC and some of these other pieces of the pie, third parties even, you're talking about years down the road. And speaking of third parties, recently I noticed that they had filed some what I called 2004 examinations, but that's the 2004 examinations, and these are basically they're compelling third parties to deliver information to the wind down process. And so this doesn't necessarily mean that they're going after these third parties. However, it does mean that they are compelling them to give information related to the bankruptcy and related to the actions not only of their companies but also of Voyager and the executive team. And so that I also thought that was positive, because not necessarily that they're going after third parties, but they are collecting information from as many interested parties as they can, and they're building that into a case against someone somewhere, it seems like. And so I also asked him about direct action against maybe Stephen Ehrlich or some of the administrative team. And he said that Stephen Ehrlich paid 1.9 million. We know that was associated with his insurance policy. But he paid directly to the wind down, that 1.9 million. So that went to creditors. But he did seem to say that there is still a chance that something like that could happen. He did seem to suggest that, you know, if information is provided that should say that, you know, these people were up to no good or they made some decisions that were, you know, detrimental to the creditors, that they would be going after them. So I also thought that was positive. I thought that there was a lot more positive coming out of it, but the thing that was hard to swallow is that we are probably years away from a full settlement.
But here's the issue, right? If you can get mediation over the next 30 to 60 days, you can then get all the customers a check in the next 90. Now, for me, and it seems like they're unwilling to do this, after FTX's Alameda is resolved and you can get people those checks, I would liquidate the whole thing, maybe keep just a little bit to do the 3AC thing, but not the entire amount. Definitely not. And so that's my frustration here, Mr. FOMO's reaction is I'm happy that mediation is still going on, because mediation failing is a disaster, because you're probably talking about another 9 to 12 months, and a lot of money out of that, for over 400 million goes to lawyers over several months. So I like that mediation is still going on. Hopefully they can get it resolved by February or March. That would be really ideal, even sooner. But realistically, let's say 60 days, all right? That would get you a check maybe in March or April of 2024. And then, you know, the right thing to do for me would be to end it by the summer.
Yeah, and to me, what you're doing is you're giving the creditors that opportunity cost back, right? If you hand over what you can to us before the halving event and give us that opportunity during this bull run, then we can provide ourselves with a little bit of recovery, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to waiting years for this down the road, then we miss the bull run, right? If we wait one more year, the bull run's gone. You put your money into the market and it's dead anyway. So
let me ask you this. I don't think
this is the time to return it to the customer.
I don't think you were asking this, but a lot of people in the chat are bringing this up. It's not just the amount that people are getting back. It's the timeliness of a bull run just right now about to really heat up. If you haven't been paying attention to the show, we've been giving out some winners. Please subscribe. In fact, we got a show coming up in a couple days about 4 tokens you have to have in the year 2024. Do not miss that show, guys. Please do not miss that show. But the money right now could really, and let's make it clear, just in case you have missed it, there is no crypto. Everything from now on is a check. So you want to go to the website if you have not done so, and make sure your address is updated. If it's not, there's a way to email them, instavoyager.com. Take care of it now, because who knows? Maybe in 30 days there's a resolution and they announce in March checks are coming. You don't want that check to go to the wrong place. But my issue here is the timeliness counts. It's not in crypto. It's not just about the amount. We talk about it's not what you buy, but when you buy it, right? Buying Solana 4 months ago under 20 is a lot different than buying it over 100 right now. Okay. You can do well buying it at 100. I think it's a great thing to have in 2024, but if you got it at 20 and you locked it in, you're looking amazing right now. So my point is giving people checks, the sooner the better, right? A check in 2025 in crypto, if people want to reinvest, is not going to be the same as having 2024. So I don't know if he contemplates that as part of the process. My guess would be no, unfortunately, from reading the response he gave to you. But something is better than nothing, right? At this point.
Right. And to me, I mean, when you look at this, at what's left out there, you've got 650 million in the 3AC thing. That's what, 32.5%. You've got another 450 million. You got another 22.5%. If we could really recover that for the creditors, we would be almost making everyone whole. Like you'd be close to 85% at that point. Now, the idea that we're going to get 100% back from FTX Alameda, probably not. We've heard from some of our viewers that when they talked to Paul Hage, he was hopeful that they could get 75% of that money back, right? And so that leaves you somewhere around 17, right? 16, 17% of that money of your total claim. And then you go back to the 3AC. It's not likely that you're going to get all of that, but if they could get most of that, that would be great. But again, like you're saying, the opportunity cost is gone by that time.
Yeah.
If you sit in mediation with FTX Alameda, then you sit in mediation with 3AC, you can kiss this bull run goodbye. It's over.
Yeah. So really, biggest thing here is the earliest you probably are going to get a check is March 2024. Let's be realistic. Okay. Even if in January they get everything done, it took them quite a few weeks to get and hopefully this would be faster because you're not liquidating crypto. You're just sending people checks. But even that took time. That took almost 2 months. So I'm thinking March right now is best case. Maybe we get lucky and it's February, but I'm probably thinking March. Around March Madness is when you would get your next check. And then from there, who knows? But
and we have a one in the chat here asking, when do customers for FTX get their money back? I wasn't with FTX, but I did receive an email. They have filed, and we also got that from Paul Hage. They have filed a bankruptcy plan. Now we know Voyager plans to object to their plan. We know the other party, but sorry, it was telling me my microphone disconnected, but it seems like they're getting that ball rolling. So again, the opportunity cost for the FTX customers is important, but it seems like you're going to miss out on this bull run if they're just submitting the plan. Then you've got a bunch of people objecting to it. You're going to have a bunch of extensions filed. It's going to be probably, if they're just submitting the plan now, probably at the end of this year, early next year. I mean, excuse me, end of 2024, 2025.
Before we leave, guys, there's a huge Bitcoin ETF update we wanted to give you guys. It sounds like Tuesday of Wednesday of next week, there should be official word as to when the ETFs will probably be approved. We're still looking at a January 10th date here as the official, but the leak of, hey, we giving you guys the green light, that could come as early as Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So keep it here. It's going to be a very volatile, big time week in crypto. Like I said, we've given out a lot of winners. We're giving out more on our next show. But if you haven't gotten
let's talk
yet,
about that ETF a little bit. If you're an investor which do you go with? Do you go with owning Bitcoin, or you go with owning the ETF?
Well, you obviously go with owning Bitcoin, but remember, you're going to be talking about a lot of people that had never purchased Bitcoin before, have been kind of lukewarm about it. And so that's, when I talk to people, owning Bitcoin is still far from their mind, right? Now, is that starting to change as prices go up? Yes, but it's just. I told someone yesterday,
Go ahead.
let me finish. I said in 2040 there are two things that I think you're going to see in the United States. I said mostly, almost all electric vehicles, and I said Bitcoin over 1 million. And this person was shocked. And again, if you don't study and you don't know the cycles and you don't know all the numbers, you just don't get it, right? It is what it is, just like anything in life. We got an H bar. Yeah, H bar has been doing really well. We haven't talked about H bar since late summer, by the way. So we'll need to bring that up.
We might soon. But for me, the Bitcoin ETF, regular stocks and stuff like that, you can only trade from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, except on holidays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I own Bitcoin, I can trade it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? That alone gives you peace of mind and security. And then on top of that, when you own these stocks, this is not something that you can grab onto, right? They don't send you anything anymore. They hang on to it and they custody the stock for you, right? But it's just like your dollars in your bank account. It's not really there. They just have numbers there that say they agree to give you that many digital dollars if you want to spend it. And so to me, I think even though you don't get a physical Bitcoin, I think the important thing to note there is you can do whatever you want with it as long as you have it on a cold wallet whenever you want. Whereas the other thing is where the ETF is going to, you're going to have to jump through some hoops to move that money back and forth.
All right. Well, I think we've given you guys a great update here. Please keep it here for the next show. You don't want to miss it. For MrFOMO with AZcrypto, you guys have a wonderful New Year's Eve, everybody.
We'll see you.